Josh, if engineering were a stylish piece of headwear, you would be a high-powered helicopter hat with dual strawberry goat milk reservoirs and 2 reels of licorice.
I'd wear it. Welcome to Engineer vs. Designer.
The podcast for designers,
engineers,
makers, bakers, and people who are changing the world one pair of peanut butter knuckles at a time. I am Adam.
And I'm Josh. This week, our very special guest is the guy behind the popular jar with the twist, Mr. Spencer Vaughn.
Speaking of all things peanut butter and or goat milk, Josh, unclog our esophagus from the peanut butter of ignorance with the unpasteurized goat milk of knowledge. Hair's still in. What have you got for us this week?
This episode of Engineer vs. Designer is brought to you by Autodesk Fusion 360. CAD in the cloud is real and it's here. Get a free 90-day trial today at fusion360.autodesk.com. So, we've done it before, we're doing it again. A tweet for this episode has gone out. Anyone who retweets that message
retweet it
will be entered into a drawing for a coveted Engineer vs. Designer t-shirt.
Spread that love, people. Okay, enough jibber jabber. Let's do this thing.
Do it.
Do it.
Spencer, thank you so much for joining us today. First off, we have a deep, thought-provoking question for you. If you could have a lifetime supply of chocolate-covered raisins, as many raisins as you want, but in order to eat them, you would have to grow cricket legs and talk in little chirps, would you do it?
Okay. Now, that's possibly the hardest question I've ever been asked. Right behind last weekend when my girlfriend asked if I thought her sister was attractive.
Oh, no!
That's never answer that, by the way. There's no right answer.
Right, yeah.
Bad.
I might need a second for that, but how about if I think about it, and then I give you a
come back
question
to that one.
About, you know?
Oh, all right, yeah.
I'm gonna
throw it out there,
yeah.
Huh? Yeah, do it.
Yeah. Okay. So, if you wake up naked in the Arctic tundra, how many M&Ms do you wish you had?
Enough that my body would melt and form a chocolate cocoon around me to keep me safe from the elements.
But they melt in your mouth, not in your head, man.
That's true. So I'd have to put them in my mouth first.
That's why you have to eat them
and then
first.
Inject them into a cocoon around myself.
I need enough chocolate M&Ms. I need enough M&Ms that I can actually make a trail from wherever the polar bears are to somewhere where the caribou are, and then far away. So the idea is you get the bears to go find the caribou for me. They kill the caribou, but then I lure them away with M&Ms and then eat the caribou.
Too complicated. Those polar bears be eating those M&Ms.
All right, Spencer, we're going to put you on the spot later about those cricket legs, but now, jar with a twist. Let's get in your plug here.
All right.
This thing is, we're going to call it jar with a massive societal impact on how we consume food.
Oh, yeah.
But jar with a twist is a nice way to put it. For the listeners, tell us what jar with a twist is, and more importantly, what are peanut butter knuckles? We're going to need to know that, too.
Okay. I'll tackle those in order. So jar with a twist, it looks pretty similar to the traditional peanut butter jar, size and shape. But it's got a rotating bottom platform that rides up threads on the outer walls so that no matter how much you have left in the jar, you can always have it right by the top.
Exactly like a deodorant container.
Well, yeah, except that's not exactly what you want to talk about when you're dealing with food. So let's try to pick a different analogy, okay?
Like a
deodorant doesn't make me hungry.
Like an elevator. I'm sorry. Did I ruin your plug? I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. You know, this is editable, right? We can just cut you out, and we can just do it.
On to peanut butter knuckles.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys have played Operation, right? Back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, so you're like reaching in there just to get that little bit, and if you touch the sides, you get like the buzzer. So it's like that, except instead of a buzzer, you get peanut butter on your
knuckles.
On
right?
your knuckles.
Because Well, and see, I consume peanut butter out of something that, I mean, you could call it, most people call it a jar, but I would call it really more of a bucket. It's like a 5-gallon bucket.
Yeah.
And so I get like the peanut butter elbows. When I'm getting down to the dregs,
he uses his hands anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
I'm getting my T-shirt sleeves covered in peanut butter, trying to get down to the bottom of that thing.
You gotta roll up your sleeves just to make a sandwich.
So my question is this jar with a twist thing scalable? That's really what this comes down to.
In fact, it is. And so that's something we've played a lot with, especially just for kind of a standard sizing to fit the diameter that's going to fit, a majority of hand sizes, not being too big that it takes up too much shelf space or too small that you're excluding a lot of people. And that actually is dealing with hand anthropometry, which is the study of hand sizes and shapes, which is something I had to learn about when we were doing this.
Right.
Wow, there is a science behind it, kids.
There actually is a little bit.
I'm familiar with this frustration. Why, just this morning I was making pancakes for my kiddos, and they got to see me in a complete meltdown state as I attempted to get the last bit of peanut butter out of the jar. Exactly. I scared them. They were cowering in the corner after that, but
he was sobbing. It was the tears were streaming down the sides of his face.
It all ends in tears. How did this idea come about? I'm sure you're familiar with the frustration too, but how did it come about, and who all was involved in getting this going?
Well, it started with a program at NC State called the EEP, so the Engineering Entrepreneurship Program. So as a senior design option, instead of doing the classical route, I had the option to take this course. And it lasted an entire year, 2 semesters. And so you get into teams. It's a multidiscipline engineering senior design course. So I got in a team with 3 other guys, Sean Echevarria, Stephen Smith, and Michael Bissett. So we got together, and you've got 2 options, basically. You can create a fake product and just learn about the business world and, kind of go through all those steps, and nothing really comes of it, just a good grade. Or you can take it seriously, try to come up with a legitimate product or business, and then try to take it to market.
Good choice.
And so, obviously, being the young entrepreneurs that we are, we decided to go that route.
And you guys are all engineers?
We are all engineers, yep.
And so Spencer, what other things have you worked on? What kinds of stuff have you designed as an engineer so far?
And what have I designed?
Yeah, what other thing? Anything else, or just this kind of your first
stuff? As far as design is for myself, messing around. I'm big into cars and motorcycles, so I've got a notebook full of just random stuff I'll draw up, or I'll make sometimes parts for my bike, or a tool that'll make the job easier. Anything that can make me go faster, or lean further over, or make working easier, basically.
Right on.
I've got some other stuff I've got floating around that maybe I'll take a shot at, when this is over. It's kind of humanitarian aid stuff, but we'll see.
Very cool.
Helping third world children get peanut butter out of large jars.
Could happen.
Bringing a first world problem to the third world.
Yeah, first you have to introduce the problem, then the solution. Right?
That's right.
You've got to bring peanut butter over there first.
All right, not surprising. A Jar with a Twist has been picked up by a bunch of websites and news outlets. It's pretty much gone viral. How has this sudden attention affected the idea? Has it changed anything at all?
It's been really crazy for all of us. Never in our wildest dreams did we even imagine this would take off like this. Actually, this morning, Good Morning America was talking about us, so that was
really?
Very exciting. Yeah.
Nice.
But the only thing that's really changed, if you could call it that, is the markets that we're considering for our jar. Initially, we had kind of just planned on introducing it to peanut butter, maybe expanding to a couple other food-based markets. But with all the feedback we've been getting, we're suddenly realizing we can focus on a lot broader market. We can use cosmetics is one that keeps popping up that people really want to see. So that's something that has really come from that.
And how do you, Spencer, like personally, how do you deal with the fame, the women, the money, just the people throwing themselves at you for attention, and how does that go in your daily life?
Well, you see, I'm one of those individuals that's blessed with good looks, boyish good looks, charm for days, and a radiant smile. So I've grown up used to most of the attention. So
you're kind of used to that
really,
already.
It's not a whole lot different. It's just bringing on for the other three guys. Suddenly they're getting a taste at what my daily life.
teaching them how to. Yeah, that could be stressful. I can see.
It's nice to be in a position of a mentor, though, and I feel like that's great, especially since you're the one on Engineer versus Designer with us today and not those other guys. I'm not sure how that plays into the whole teaching and mentoring thing, but maybe you're just leading by example, I guess.
Well, now, but automatically when people think of the company, they're going to think of me. So I've already established myself above them.
Dominance, yeah. All right. Well, so let's back up a little bit. I want to talk a little more about the actual development of the product. You were doing this as a part of a class, and we noticed that the pretty pictures look like they might be SolidWorks in your promo videos. Tell us about your whole process, starting with the napkin sketches, and then where did that go?
Yeah. Well, it kind of started. I guess I never really answered your other question, but we got together and we're trying to think of basically the biggest problem in our lives. So apparently we have a pretty rough life.
Pretty common.
If peanut butter knuckles is the basic. But we went through a couple different possible solutions. We even had one that was like kind of imagine like a switchblade, but when you pulled the knife in, it like squeegeed the blade clean. We thought, okay, that'd be great for making a peanut butter and jelly because we could use the same knife.
Right.
But we got to the point kind of thinking that if we're trying to make this easier, that especially for the consumer, that the kitchen's already kind of full of underpurposed, overpriced utensils. So we don't want to make people buy more things just to do what they're, just trying to do something easy. So if we can make a jar, then we thought that they could already have everything packaged in, then that would kind of solve that problem. So we started doing a lot of just meeting up and throwing ideas around. Normally we'd have a big whiteboard out in front of us and we take turns, writing up, drawing, sketching, a lot of notebook sketching. But pretty quickly we moved to SolidWorks just because it's pretty intuitive. And so we could quickly get a real good idea of almost a prototype, almost a feel for it without actually creating a physical prototype by making one in SolidWorks. Once we did that, once we thought we had a good iteration, we'd print it out. And then we'd mess with it. We'd open it, we'd close it, we'd get the feel for it, the size. We messed with thread pitch. How did the bottom platform, how did it feel on our hands? Do we want more fins under there? Do we want less? Can we use less and have the same functionality so that it's using less material? We had a whole lot of things that we were considering, and by having a physical prototype that came directly from SolidWorks, it really helped us out a lot. And we were able to move much quicker by being able to rapid prototype, and therefore kind of progress in our development. For example, something we played with for weeks was just lids, actually. Do we want to do it screw in or screw just on top? For right now, we've actually settled on a snap-on lid because it uses less material, keeping costs low, but it's also just nice and easy.
Nice. So, now you mentioned rapid prototyping, and in the email you said you guys have a MakerBot Replicator 2 that you're using. So what was that experience like developing a product with a 3D printer?
I mean, that was just, at first it just blew my mind. There's something I'd always heard of, and I'd considered trying to pick one up, but they're still fairly pricey. But honestly, we didn't use a MakerBot too terribly much. We actually started using an Ultimaker in the very beginning.
Okay.
And so that was the first experience I had on any type of 3D prototyping. So we pretty quickly had to learn a lot. Nobody was really there to teach us, so we just got to mess around and waste a lot of time printing things that looked awful.
Yeah,
yeah. See, this is one of the things. This is one of the things that I've found too. I think Josh as well. We were surprised by the fact that we're used to using more professional grade printers with support material and blah blah blah. So it's pretty straightforward. But these consumer grade ones, it takes quite a bit of learning to be able to really use them effectively.
It really does, and we had issues with, we didn't have a heated bed, and so the material would stick to that, and so it would scrape off. Also, the software that came with it was really working for us, so we actually were able to use some, we downloaded some open source software that allowed us a little better freedom, and we were able to make a little better prototypes on the Ultimaker. But it just wasn't quite what we wanted, so then we actually moved to the MakerBot. But again, we were still in that learning process. So when we weren't using enough support material, and so the plastic was sagging, and we weren't really sure, our troubleshooting skills weren't so strong.
Right.
So we weren't really sure what was causing that. So we actually then moved to a much nicer Dimension SST, I think.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And we were able to print then in ABS. So we could get better accuracy than the PLA we were using for the previous prototypes. We could print at a better resolution. We decided not to really mess with it. I think we were doing about 20 microns, and it was fine for what we were doing.
Wow. Yeah.
But we were able to print a much tighter fitting parts, so the tolerances were a lot better with the printer, and we could do like a 100th of an inch for the pieces fitting together.
So
that's great.
Okay, so you guys have a product, you have a wildly successful video on YouTube, and you've hit this blogosphere, face first, just killing it. How do you actually turn this in to making it rain? How do you turn this into money?
I mean, honestly,
how are you going to monetize this?
Honestly, I was hoping that after this little interview, that you guys would both whip out your checkbooks and kind of razzle me.
Other than that.
Other than that,
watch the zero.
Other than that, there's kind of two there's two main routes that we're looking at, and that's basically license it or produce it ourselves, or I guess maybe a mix of the two. If we can license it and produce it, then maybe that. The thing is, with all the publicity we've had, there's a lot of interest in investment opportunities. So originally we were planning on just licensing it, but with all this possible available income for us, then we're now really considering the manufacturing, and so we can keep our options open.
And this would be a very business-to-business kind of thing. You're not going to sell these directly to customers. You're going to try to get Jif or
I think it
General
could
Mills
too.
or
I could see
whoever to buy
this.
this, right?
I could see this in Container Store. Stacks of them.
Yeah.
Sitting there. But I have no doubt you guys are going to be able to license it, and I wouldn't be surprised if you've already been getting a bunch of emails and contacts from the food makers. But so if you do manufacture, though, have you started looking into that? Is it feasible? What are you guys doing as far as manufacturing is concerned?
As far as manufacturing, right now we're trying to get a good idea of the cost that's going to require, so that when if we do approach investors, we say this is what we need, instead of just saying, hey, everyone throw some money at us, let's figure it out.
Because now these are a little more complicated jars instead of just one-piece glass jar. It's now something that's got a mechanical function to it.
Yeah,
so
but it's only slightly so. One of the things we actually spent a lot of time actually designing and redesigning the jar for was to give it the ability to be injection molded.
Mm-hmm.
So by doing that, we can keep costs low. And in fact, it may be cheaper than we had estimated at first if we're using the snap-on lid, because it was originally the amount of material would be a jar plus another lid. And so with a much smaller lid than the traditional lid for a peanut butter jar, then we're bringing costs even lower.
Now, so you guys haven't licensed it yet. You haven't sold it yet that I know of, at least in terms of manufacturing. So what you're saying is, people out there listening, you either want to send lots of zeros, big numbers, over to these guys for to either help them find manufacturing. So if you're a sourcing person, they could probably use your help, I'm guessing. We're also, if you happen to work at Peter Pan Peanut Butter, shoot us an email, and we'll put you in touch.
Right on. Well, we got to know before we get off, are there any other genius ideas that we can expect to see from you guys? You said you're entrepreneurs, so What are we going to see? Ice that doesn't melt? Are you going to maybe take on the frustrations with 3D printing?
Well, here's what I'm thinking. You know, with the inevitable influx of rain, as you so eloquently put it, when it rains on me, I'm going to take that money. I'm going to take that money, and I'm going to create full body antiperspirant soap.
Really?
Because
I cannot take you seriously.
No. Listen.
Okay.
See, I'm one of those people. It can be 65 degrees outside, but if I start concentrating on something, I just start pouring, sweating. It's awful. So I want to make full body antiperspirant. You don't have to sweat at all. Boom.
Sounds like you could wear a bodysuit, maybe a super absorbent bodysuit.
Okay, we're gonna, let's ruminate on this. These ideas are great. Let's give these ideas some room to breathe. That's all I'm saying. So, all right, Spencer Vaughn, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, and thanks for giving me a break from work.
Oh, yeah, and where can people find out more? Is it
jarwithatwist.com?
There it is.
All one word, jarwithatwist.com. Go there, do it.
All one word.
Excellent.
Do it.
Josh, the future of the jar, my friend, is changed forever. Having Spencer on the show today was even better than that time you spent an entire afternoon trying to find your way out of a wet paper bag.
And Adam forgets that it was him that couldn't find his way out of a wet paper bag, and it only ended in tears. If you'd like to send Adam directions out of that wet paper bag, please address that to EVD Media.
No fair adjusting the script. If you'd like to send us rubber snakes, cheap yo-yos, and or chocolate chip cookies for my next birthday party, please address those to Adam. Let us know what you think, who you want to see on the show, and what your favorite kind of peanut butter is at EngineerVsDesigner.com or on the EVD YouTube and or Vimeo channels.
And if you'd like to see us struggling to say fluffy bunny as we devour dry peanut butter sandwiches, be sure to like us, +1 us, tweet us, or whatever else as social media has been correlated with joking on dense, inanimate matter.
This show was edited by the masterful Simon Martin. If you love our taste in music and need some more to help propel you through the work week, be sure to check out a new playlist on Solid Smack Radio every Tuesday at solidsmack.com.
We'll see you next week, and remember, without engineers, designers would spend an eternity with peanut butter knuckles.
And without designers, engineers wouldn't be able to spread their knuckles with peanut butter using stylish multifunctional spatulas. I need to go make a peanut butter sandwich with corn.
Corn! Corn in a jar. All right.
A production of EVD Media.